Hello viewers, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to install RHEL 7 on VMware. In my two previous videos I have shown how to install ESXi and how to install Redhat Enterprise Linux version 6. So in order to install RHEL 7 you need to create a profile. So I'm going to create a profile in VMware. Right click on the ESXi server and select new virtual machine. Select typical as default and next, and specify the host name which you are going to give this for VM. I have given the name as RHEL7. Next, and the data store where this disk we require to install this VM. So here right now we have around 18 GB free space, so I'm going to utilize that space to install RHEL7. Click next, select Linux, and once you select Linux you will see the version here. I don't see RHEL7 since this is this ESXi is the old version, ESXi 5. That RHEL 7 option is not there, but still I will go with RHEL 6 64-bit, which will going to support and which will going to work. Say next, select Ethernet, how many Ethernet you need. Default is 1. I'm going to go with default. Next, and here is the size 16 GB. We have around 18 GB free in this data store, so 16 GB is more than enough to install the operating system. So I'm going to say next and finish. So here in below you see the progress has completed and you have one VM created with RHEL7. So I'm going to launch a console for this and power on this VM. So VM is now powered on, but ISO is not attached, that's why it is unable to find it, and it is saying DHCP. It is trying to find the ISO from Pixie server, but we are not using any Pixie server here. And here is the option to attach the ISO. If you click on that, you'll see three options. I'm going to use the first one, connect to ISO image on local disk. Okay, so here is the ISO I store in my desktop. Select the ISO and press Ctrl Alt Insert. Okay, here there are two options: install Redhat Enterprise Linux 7 and test the media and install the OS. So since this media I have already tested earlier and it is working fine, so I don't need to test it again, and I'm just going to go with installation. Okay, press enter to continue for installation. This will not going to take much time. It is going to load whether everything is there in that ISO. It has just checked and now it will give you a screen for installation method. Okay, so here it says about the language selection. Default it is US English. I'm going to go with default, and this is the screen. RHEL 7 installation is quite different than RHEL 6 5. In this installation summary you will have all these options with regards to date and time, configuration, keyboard, language, installation media, software selection, network configuration, and everything. So once we are good with everything, here you see a warning message. That means something is not good in this section, so we have to check why, and apart from that everything seems to be fine. So I'll click on installation destination and see the options under that. So here is the disk 16 GB which we have added while creating the VM, and here is the option for creating partition. So there is an option called automatic creating partition, and one is I will configure partition. I'm going to choose creating a partition manually, so I just selected I will configure partition and click on done. Okay, so once you click on done, you will get this screen. Here you will see the option for the type of partitioning which you are going to format. Are you going to format with LVM thin provisioning, standard partition, or BRT RFS? So I'm just going to go with the LVM. So it is default LVM selected, and click on here, add a new mount point. So in order to install an operating system, you need two minimum file system or mount point, that is sorry, slash file system, and other is boot, and third one is swap. So I'm going to use slash and specify the size. The size is, what are the size you are specifying here? It is in MB, so I'm giving 10,000 MB, so that means it is 10 GB. So I'll click on add mount point, and this mount point created with 10 GB. I'll create another mount point saying boot. 200 MB is more than enough for boot partition, and again I will create one more partition called swap 1024 is the size for swap. Okay, so if you wanted to edit, you can edit. Go to this, and here you can edit it, and also here you can see this information about partition. You can edit them. Default file system is XFS in RHEL 7. If you wanted to use XFS, you can go with XFS. Otherwise, there are other options you have available, extended 2, 3, 4, and other options. So I'm going to go with XFS default file system. Okay, so now once you have created this 3 file system, you are good to go with installation. I'll click on done, and it is saying this partition is going to format, so I'll say accept changes, and now you can see that warning message has been gone, and now it is all good. And also this begin installation was grayed out earlier, and now I'm able to see this option. Okay, and I need this system as a GUI. I want GUI software to be installed in this. So here is the package selection section. Click on that, and you will be able to see server with GUI, virtualization host, which one you have prefer. You can go with. I'm going with the server with GUI, and other package, if you are interested, you can select them, and they will going to install. Okay, so I selected server with GUI, and once it is done, I'll say next. I'll say done, and it is checking this dependency, and I think everything is fine. So that's it. If you want to change the time zone here, you can change it like this. Just click on the area. It is currently, I have selected Asia Kolkata, and click on done, and network and hostname. So here in RHEL 7, it is default coming as ENS name. It is not like RHEL 5 and 6. In RHEL 5 and 6, we used to have ETH. So here it is different. So if you wanted to edit, you can do that. Click on configure, change the name as ETH 0, save. So once you say done, it should make the changes. And now if I go back, okay, it is still not showing here. Probably I think I need to delete it and I have to create. Let me try that. Configure general. Okay, let me expand this and see if I can find any option. Okay, this is not a problem. You can change this name later once you have installed the operating system and system is boot up. You can later you can change the name. So we are good with all the selection. Now I'll click on begin installation. Once I click on begin installation, it has already started. You can see creating XFS file system type which we have selected, and it is starting package installation process. It is checking all the package installation which we have selected, and it is checking for all dependencies, and it will take a while. Probably in RHEL 7 it takes a little time as compared to RHEL 5 and 6, so it will take a little time to install all the packages. And meanwhile there are two options you can see here in under user settings section. Root password, you can set the root password here. Then okay, if you want any additional users to be created while installation, you can go ahead and create those users now itself, and also you can create after the OS is installed properly and it's come up. You can create user later, so this is not a mandatory option now. So you can see the installation for package, it is already started. There are 1189 packages, and out of that 22 has been installed, so that means it is going to take a little time for complete the installation. So for now I'm going to pause this video and I will resume once it is completed. Okay, so installation has been completed. You can see here it is completed and asking for reboot, so I'll click on reboot. So it will take a minute or two to reboot the system. It is rebooting, and say enter to boot the OS. Okay, so in this section you will see this location license information is not accepted, so I have to accept this, otherwise I will not be able to continue. Accept license agreement, and let's see is there anything. Nothing, so click on done. User select creation, as I told you earlier, it is not mandatory, and once you're done, click on finish configuration. Okay, so there is a KDM configuration section here. If you would like to configure KDM, you can enable it and you can configure the KDM now itself, but I'm going to have a different KDM configuration video later, so right now I'm not going to configure KDM and skip this part for now. And in this section you are saying whether I'm going to register the system with RHEL, so I'm not going to register it, so I'm saying no and click on finish. So it's all done with this installation. There are few additional steps are pending. it says about next. Okay, so it is taking a little time to okay, next. So create user, I believe it is a mandatory option here to create a user. I just said my name and set the password as Redhat. Click on next. I'll go with the default next, and it says start using Redhat Enterprise Linux Service. So I'm all done with this installation. Okay, so here it is. It is a GNOME help page. It's not required. I'm going to close this page. Here it is. So I'm done with the installation, and this is how the RHEL 7 looks like. If you wanted to go for a terminal, click on application and terminal, and it is default login with user Jaffer. I'm just swing to root user. Here it is. So this is how you have to install Redhat Enterprise Linux 7 in VMware. Please feel free to comment if you have any doubt or any questions. I will try to get back to you. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.